Former Democratic Congressman Joe Crowley was the chair of the House Democratic Caucus, something of a Schumer ally, although you can put it in your own words. And Amanda Lippman is co-founder and president of Run for Something, a political group that tries to recruit progressives and is more aligned with some of the moves for change. Of course, I'm just simplifying, but welcome to both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good to meet you, Terry. Thanks.
Amanda, is it time for new Democratic leadership in the Senate?
I think we're looking at a moment where if Schumer folds in this shutdown, if he does not actually negotiate a written down, genuine deal that Republicans will hold to, I think he's going to start to hear calls from his own caucus to step aside because he has backed down too many times over the last 8 months. He's got to prove that he's got the backbone now.
Do you view it, Amanda, as largely a political issue? Does he have the right strategy and results, or a substance and ideology issue, as we've seen the party also look towards more progressive planks right now?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, Senator Schumer doesn't seem to have understood up until this moment that the Republican Party is not a good faith negotiator. They are not good faith partners in governance. They don't want to try and negotiate around the edges for policy. They want to burn it down. He also, I think, is not the skilled communicator we need for this moment. The shtick with him is he's got the flip phone. He doesn't even have an iPhone. I don't know if that's still true or not, but that's actually not charming anymore, given how people get information. He can't really communicate in the way we need our Democratic leadership to right now.
Congressman, you've been in there. You know how it works and how it can be hard. And Amanda's saying that Chuck's not that effective anymore, and it's probably time for him to go. What do you say?
Yeah, probably his Instagram account probably isn't the hippest, I would imagine. And at the same time, you're talking about one of the greatest strategists in the history of the Congress, a tactician's tactician. And we're a long ways from March of earlier this year. A lot has happened and transpired since then. I think Chuck Schumer understands exactly what this administration is about and what his Republican colleagues now are about, just yes men and yes women to this presidency. I agree with Amanda that they're not there to legitimately negotiate. And I think Schumer's now laid down that gauntlet. And he has kept together his caucus, with the exception of maybe 3 votes. They're winning. The people out there understand that it is the president's shutdown. It is the Republican-controlled House and Senate shutdown. It's not Democrats who are forcing this. Democrats are standing up for workers. Democrats are standing up for people who need health care in this country. And Schumer's leading that charge. But I also would like to say, Ari, he's not necessarily the leader of the country. He's the leader of the Senate. He's not the Democratic leader at this point, nor is Hakeem Jeffries. He's the leader of the House.
Who is?
We're waiting for that. We're waiting for that. Well, we don't even know yet. We're waiting for that presidential candidate to happen, and that'll happen over the next year.
Let me jump in, Congressman. You're speaking to one of the debate points, which is some folks are saying that this idea that you wait around and have a whole primary, in a couple of years from now, and find this leader, that the stakes are too high, which, of course, is something Democrats also say, and that you have to start fixing some of the party's perception. I mean, Jon Stewart is not known for his endless Chuck Schumer hate. You can't dismiss him as a hater. He's seeing a punchline in the messaging problem, and I'm going to show you some TikToks where writ large, and again, to be fair, not just Chuck Schumer, but writ large, the Democratic leaders in D.C., this is the reception on TikTok.
I am feeling incredibly angry at the Democrats right now.
Thought about it. I did a lot of reflecting, and it's actually everyone else's fault that I lost.
I'm a lifelong Democrat. It's our party that has left me feeling unsettled.
We don't resonate with the average voter. It's just a fact. Democrats are now viewed as the party of elites.
And Joe, then you say, okay, those are clips, but here's the national data. This party, at this moment, more underwater, 30 points or so down, than we've seen before. Joe.
No, I see that number, yes. There's no question that we have a lot of work to do. But also harken back, Ari, to my own, loss 7 years ago. Back then, at 56 years of age, I was being called Grandpa Crowley, and I'm sure that many of the same folks you just showed on Instagram were saying the same thing about me back then. What I think we have, especially as New Yorkers, we have the greatest opportunity ever to have the leader of the Senate, the leader of the House, both from New York. The opportunities they will provide for the state when and if they ever get back into power. And that's a big question, will be enormous for the Northeast and for, I think, blue cities and blue states as well. So there's an awful lot to fight for. I think we don't know who that candidate is going to be. Chuck Schumer's role right now is to win back the Senate, and I don't think he even cares about his own self. He cares more about winning back the Senate for the American people.
Amanda?
I think it's telling right now that some of the leading Senate candidates in the country in some of these battleground states are actively saying they will not vote for Chuck Schumer as majority leader if they win back the Senate. That his endorsement right now, or his and the DSCC's putting their thumb on the scale, is actually a huge mark against them. Democratic primary voters do not trust the D.C. establishment. They severely understand that the leaders that got us to this point do not have the skills nor the stomach to get us to the next one. They will not be able to get us out of this crisis. Now, I am comforted by the fact...
Well, I'll let her finish and go to you.
Sorry.
Well, I would just say I am comforted by the fact that Run for Something has seen more than 70,000 young people raise their hands to say they want to run for office just in the last year, more so than we saw in the entirety of Trump's first term. So, like it or not, the Democratic Party of the future is not going to be defined by Chuck Schumer. I'll agree with Representative Crowley on that one, but it also shouldn't be defined by him now.
I don't disagree with that notion. The idea that 70,000 people want to run for office, I think that's great. I think that's going to rejuvenate our party. We need that. We need primaries. I think it makes people better. But at the end of the day, Chuck Schumer's job right now is to do all he can to win the Senate back. And we have a tough slog against us because we don't have really great states that we're running in 2 years. So that is his number one job right now, as is his Hakeem Jeffries' job to win back the House of Representatives. And we see what's happened with the Voting Rights Act and what they're doing to this country.
And if he fails at that,
I think they both understand the odds.
If they don't win back the Senate in November, then would you look for new leadership, Congressman?
That's up to the Senate to decide. It's not up to them. You know, it's a small.
No, I know. Well, now you sound like a politician. Yes, it is technically up to the Senate. Well, yes, it's technically up to the Senate. It's up to the Senate, but we're having this discussion, and I'm asking you point blank, do you think if he doesn't win back the Senate, should he get another try? Because the question on the table from a lot of the younger members of the party is, why keep running the same people and same blueprint if you're losing?
I think if Chuck Schumer is not the leader, this doesn't necessarily mean he's not a member of the Senate. You know, that's the other point here that you're really getting to is in 2 years. That'll be up for the voters in New York to decide whether Senator Schumer is sent back to the Senate. In terms of their colleagues, that's up to the colleagues to decide. You know, it's inside baseball, Ari. As much as I want to say how someone who's going to replace Dick Durbin is going to vote in 2 years, we don't know.
Yeah, I hear you, and we're running out of time. It's not complete inside baseball.
It's not inside baseball.
Well, we just showed you a lot of people in the country who seem to know that Schumer and Jeffries are in charge, and they're looking at that. I'll give Amanda a final word as well.
Well,
if Amanda can tell me who they're going to vote for Senate, I'll listen to that.
Well, it is such a problem that he is at this moment putting his ego above the brand of the party. The fact that so many young people, and I see it on my For You page constantly, are saying, I don't want to go with the party that has this guy in the front of it, you know, standing, waving his fist, fecklessly saying we will win. They don't think that we are fighting for them because they don't see him as a powerful communicator. They don't see Hakeem Jeffries as a powerful communicator. They didn't see Joe Biden as a powerful communicator who can speak to the issues they care about. So it might feel like inside baseball, but what it looks like is someone putting their ego above the party and above the country. Really interesting. We're out of time. Can I do a quick compliment here? You both have a lot of passion about the direction of the country. I think that's clear. And you both have served in your own way. And we had a very civil debate about these issues. I'm always game for more of that. So I'd love to have you both back on together. Congressman Crowley, Amanda Libman.
Amanda, you're great. Thank you.
Great. Thanks to both of you. I appreciate it. I think it's important. Coming up.